South Africans are in the dark yet again. Eskom has implemented stage 2 load shedding until midnight. Rolling power cuts will again take place from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. tomorrow. The troubled power utility has blamed this on delays in the return of generating units at the Arnot, Koeberg and Kusile power stations. Eskom has also urged the public to use electricity sparingly over the coming days to ensure power cuts aren't intensified. Well, for a quick analysis on this, we're joined by energy expert, Professor Sampson Mamphweli. Of course, Prof, I suppose no surprises that we're back in the load shedding cycle. Some good things like electricity don't last forever in South Africa, do they?
It's not a surprise at all. The delay in the return of Unit 2 at the nuclear power station is one of the problems. But over and above that, we have the new plan now that was announced by the president, which will kick in the next, I would say, 3 to 4 months on some of the aspects. So we could see load shedding reducing in the next 6 months and then maybe disappearing in the next year or so. If the various interventions come to fruition. But as things stand, we're still in the same old kind of a system where we still have a number of units that would every now and then cause problems because we have an aging infrastructure that was not properly maintained. So all those challenges still remain, but the plan will then kick in the next few months.
Professor Mamphweli, can we realistically be talking about a time where South Africa is free of load shedding in the next year and that's really 12 to about 24 months? Is that realistic?
That's a very realistic one. If you look at the plan that the president has announced, and it boils down to implementation, like what the SACP and COSATU has been saying. And when you look around, the implementation has already started. For instance, the Minister of Environmental Affairs has already started with the process of getting regulations to ensure that environmental impact assessment is done and dusted within 60 days, and environmental authorization is given to solar and wind energy projects. So that is already in full swing. Some of the things such as buying additional power from IPPs that are currently curtailing. We have IPPs in the wind and solar energy space who are currently curtailing some of the power that they generate because their current contracts don't allow them to feed that power into the grid. So we expect the process of changing some of those contracts to take about 3 months or so. And then we could get a good 300, 400 megawatts out of that. It's not as much as the 4,000 to 6,000 megawatts that Eskom wants. So when you look at the long-term, mid-term to long-term solutions that the president has announced, those are the solutions that would then come in and give us the 4,000 to 6,000 megawatts that Eskom requires. But we're looking at about a year to 2 years from now.
In the meantime, the roller coaster of load shedding schedules continues. Tomorrow, I understand, will be moving from stage 2 to stage 4.
Yes. So in the meantime, unfortunately, we will have to stay with load shedding. It could be worse because the systems that we have, especially the coal fleet, Eskom can't predict as to when they are going to have some breakdowns. That's one. Two, we have a big problem with what they call partial load losses. Basically, it speaks to the installed capacity versus what the particular plant can generate. So most of the Eskom coal-fired power stations have got a big problem with that. Even when they are operating, they are not operating at optimal. for lack of a better word. So now they're not optimally operating. So that takes about 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts of the system. And that is problematic because once Eskom takes away about 5,000 megawatts for regular maintenance, which they need to do to adhere to the conditions that they are given by NERSA in terms of maintenance. And then you have additional breakdowns that could go to 10,000 or sometimes even 16,000 megawatts. Then that causes a lot of problems in terms of the security of supply. Eskom needs to protect the integrity of the grid, and there's only one way to do it, unfortunately, is to implement load shedding to ensure that we don't have a total collapse of the grid. So load shedding will still be with us. It will lessen in the next 6 to 7 months, and it will further lessen in the next year or so, and it will totally disappear in the next 2 years.
All right, let's leave it there for tonight. That is Professor Sampson Mamphweli, who is an energy expert.